The 2025 Formula One season continues to unfold in ways that keep fans guessing, teams pushing, and drivers under increasing pressure. As we arrive at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix, there's no shortage of intrigue and underlying storylines. From Red Bull's homecoming and the pressure mounting on Max Verstappen, to the fallout between McLaren teammates Lando, Norris, and Oscar Piastri, and Mercedes' sudden rise in form. This weekend is shaping up to be a major litmus test for several top teams. With championship battles heating up and driver dynamics evolving race by race, Austria stands as more than just another stop on the calendar. It could be the catalyst that changes the momentum for key players. Let's begin with what many fans will be watching most closely: the relationship between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. After their collision in the latter stages of the Canadian Grand Prix, there was some concern that tensions might rise within the McLaren camp. To his credit, Norris took full responsibility immediately after the race, apologizing both publicly and internally. That helped de-escalate any drama before it could fester. McLaren team boss Andrea Stella and CEO Zach Brown were prepared for a scenario like this, but once both drivers are out on track, it's out of their hands. These things happen, especially when both drivers are competing at the sharp end of the grid with relatively equal pace. Norris, ever the introspective competitor, admitted he regretted the mistake, but has already shifted his focus to Austria. He acknowledged that such misjudgments can happen in racing and emphasized his intent to improve from the experience, to be sharper, more composed, and more strategic. There's no denying that the Red Bull Ring offers a prime opportunity for redemption. It's a track Norris knows well. He earned his first career podium there in 2020, and it typically rewards confidence under braking and strong race rhythm, two of Norris' core strengths. With the British Grand Prix following just a week later, he has a real chance to build momentum across two circuits where he has historically been competitive. Jacques Villeneuve was quick to point out how this moment could be pivotal in the intra-team battle at McLaren. Piastri has been razor-sharp in qualifying and more consistent in points, currently 22 ahead of Norris in the standings. But Norris has arguably shown stronger race pace when things go right. Villeneuve believes Norris may now be better prepared for how Piastri races under pressure, which could give him a strategic edge going forward. This growing rivalry is one of the most fascinating in modern Formula One. Not because it's toxic or unstable, but because both drivers push each other toward excellence. Whether Austria delivers another clash or a clean, hard-fought battle, eyes will be glued to the Papaya duo. Of course, while McLaren's team harmony is under the microscope, all eyes will also be on Red Bull. Austria is their home race, and no driver has mastered this circuit like Max Verstappen. With 5 previous wins here, including a sprint pole and sprint win last season, Verstappen usually feels invincible in the Styrian Hills. But this time, there's added tension. Verstappen is carrying 11 penalty points on his super license. Should he pick up one more this weekend, he'll face an automatic race ban. That would be a seismic blow not just to Red Bull's title hopes, but to the entire complexion of the championship. Verstappen was understandably irritated by the questions surrounding this potential ban, but it remains a cloud hanging over him until the points begin to drop off post-race. Red Bull's form has been shaky in recent months. Though Verstappen still managed victories in Japan and Italy, the team's supremacy isn't what it once was. Their package isn't as comfortable in medium-speed corners, something team principal Christian Horner pointed out ahead of the weekend. The Red Bull Ring's layout, while historically suiting the team, does have a tricky middle sector that could expose their current limitations. Horner suggested that if the weather heats up, McLaren might again emerge as the stronger outfit. Verstappen's damage limitation in Canada was impressive, finishing second to George Russell and slightly closing the gap to championship leader Piastri. But he still trails by 43 points. While that deficit is not impossible to overcome, history suggests it's unlikely unless the frontrunners start taking points off each other. Sky Sports F1 pundit Martin Brundle framed this scenario perfectly. Verstappen can afford to finish second or third if his rivals keep rotating victories. His consistency and ability to pull results out of thin air keep him within reach, provided he avoids a race ban or further DNFs. And then we arrive at Mercedes. After a long, painful stretch of underperformance, they finally broke through with Russell's win in Montreal. The W16 came alive on the smooth, curb-heavy layout of the Circuit Canadian Villeneuve. What's more, the team debuted a new rear suspension that may have helped reduce the rear overheating issues that plagued them earlier this year. It's still unclear whether that result was track-specific or a sign of real progress. But team boss Toto Wolff believes the Canada victory was the result of correct execution in a car that fit the track characteristics, not an outright return to title contending form. Austria will be the true test. The Red Bull Ring's faster corners and high-speed changes of direction are very different from Canada's slow chicanes. If Mercedes can remain competitive here, it will validate their recent upgrades. If they struggle again, it will suggest they're still highly track-dependent. Regardless, it was a psychological lift for the team, especially as Kimi Antonelli claimed his first career podium in Montreal. The young Italian continues to mature rapidly and has been a bright spot in an otherwise turbulent season for Mercedes. Ferrari, meanwhile, remain in limbo. The raw pace just isn't there, and the Canadian Grand Prix highlighted their inability to run with the top teams on a consistent basis. Leclerc briefly led the race due to pit strategy, but ultimately faded. Hamilton, despite running over a groundhog and damaging his car, finished 6th. It's not where Ferrari want to be, and internal frustration is beginning to bubble up. Hamilton admitted the team desperately needs upgrades and isn't expecting miracles. Since their disqualification earlier in the year, Ferrari have struggled to run their car low to the ground without wearing through the plank, a major limitation in the current ground effect era, where ride height is essential to generating downforce. They are rumored to be bringing a revamped rear suspension soon, possibly in time for Austria or Silverstone. If it allows them to run the car lower, it could unlock a significant amount of lap time. Team boss Fred Vasseur emphasized that even small upgrades matter at this point in the development cycle, as everyone is now fighting for hundredths of a second rather than tenths. He stressed that execution, how the team uses the car, is often more important than the raw upgrade potential. It's a reminder that in Formula One, hardware and human performance are deeply intertwined. Another subplot worth watching is unfolding at Alpine. Austria marks the final confirmed race in Franco Colapinto's 5-race trial with the team. The 22-year-old Argentinian has had a mixed debut stint. He crashed in qualifying at Imola, struggled at Monaco and Spain, but showed some promise in Canada by out-qualifying Pierre Gasly and finishing 13th. Executive advisor Flavio Briatore has made it clear that Colapinto's future depends solely on performance. There is no fixed number of races. If he delivers, he stays. If not, Alpine will explore other options heading into the second half of the season, and especially with 2020 SAXS major regulation changes on the horizon. That pressure can be a gift or a curse. Colapinto knows this is a shot, and Austria might be his best remaining chance to make an impression. Alpine themselves are preparing for long-term growth and are not afraid to make bold choices, as Briatore's return and the team's recent management changes suggest. Whether Colapinto can cement a full-time seat or not, Austria could be the turning point in his young career. As we approach lights out at the Red Bull Ring, we're looking at a grid full of unanswered questions. Will Norris bounce back and shift the momentum back in his favor? Can Piastri extend his lead and tighten his grip on the championship? Will Verstappen survive the weekend without adding to his penalty points tally? Can Mercedes prove that Montreal was no fluke? Will Ferrari's upgrades finally deliver, or will the Tifosi have to keep waiting? And will Colapinto do enough to secure his future? The answers to those questions won't just shape this weekend. They could define the rest of the season. And that's why Austria is more than just another Grand Prix. It's a pressure cooker of pace, strategy, and ambition. One where the fastest car might not win, and the biggest moments may come off track just as much as on it. And when the dust settles in the Styrian hills, the true contenders will emerge a little clearer. Hello, McLaren faithful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss any McLaren and F1 updates with relaxing ASMR elements. Your support helps this incredible community grow stronger every day, and it's a small effort that goes a long way. Even if you can't contribute in other ways, it's completely free to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to keep the conversation going and share our passion for McLaren and F1. Your support helps keep the community thriving. Thank you for being part of McLaren Faithful.